I'm Bill Breedlove with Pink Jacket Creative. Our agency does a lot of what you may call buzz marketing or non-traditional advertising. And one example is Engobi snack chips, the world's first caffeinated snack chip. The manufacturer approached us with a very unique challenge. They had created not just a new product, but a new category, and they didn't have a big media budget to launch the product. So we knew we had to do product sampling, but we didn't just want to give people a bag of chips and have them go on their way. We had to do something a little more creative and a little more engaging so that people would engage with the product. How did we come up with the campaign for the Engobi caffeinated snack chips? Well, the first thing with any campaign is to know the product and the target audience. These are caffeinated snack chips, and every bag contains 130 milligrams of caffeine. To give you an idea, Red Bull has 80, so they'll definitely jack you up. And we were going after an audience of gamers, young people, but we didn't want to use the extreme everything that every other energy drink is using. So we decided to create the Engobi.
When I was thinking about the Engobi brand ambassador, I thought back to the 50s and how they always had the brand ambassadors that were holding the product sort of like this. So, and they were really cheesy and sort of weird looking, which I thought was kind of interesting and a good way to sort of...
But the most interesting part about the Engobi girl to me is in agency world, there is often a lot of conflict before things get to the client. Our creative director came up with the idea of the Engobi girl as being the brand ambassador. And when she presented it to the rest of the team, we had some arguments. Specifically, Elena and I had arguments.
We had some conflict in that, you know, I thought it should be one way and Bill thought it should be another way.
We have to work through those arguments and present everything we're doing with the client as a team. So after Elena convinced me through very strong arguments that this was the way to go, we pitched it to the client, and it was very successful. But you know, things don't just happen in a very harmonious way. Sometimes you've got to argue with each other to come up with the best solution. Since the client didn't have a large media budget, we knew that we had to go to product sampling to get the Engobi chips out in the hands of consumers. So we launched the campaign in Manhattan, but we knew that if you just hand a bag of chips to someone, it's not going to engage the consumer at all. So our idea was to build the human vending machine.
We took the brand ambassador and placed her inside the human vending machine. Not only is she attracting attention, but now we have a contraption on top of that that attracts even more attention. And people would walk by and try and figure out what the heck
Another
is
tactic we used on the Engobi campaign was to hijack stairs at subway stations. This is in Times Square Station, and we had brand ambassadors go in and apply stickers to the stair risers that would have different brand messages as people came up from the subway. When they got to the top, they would be greeted by brand ambassadors who were handing out samples. The way this really worked is after about 20 minutes, Homeland Security would show up, and they would tell us that we really couldn't be inside the station, and they would ask for a bag of chips and then ask us to get out onto the sidewalk. So we would leave, and we'd return a couple of hours later and see that our signs were still on the risers, so we still had our message getting across. Then we would remove the signs and throw those away. Very successful. But what happened is people would walk away with a bag of chips in their hands. They would read the copy on the back of the bag, which is something we wanted them to do. And then the other things is, you know, they would take photographs of the booth. They would take videos of the booth, send those to friends. They would call friends and tell them what was going on. And as a result, within 48 hours of launching just the Engobi Girl campaign on the streets of Manhattan, we were picked up by 800 blogs.